if you're like Augustus or some other Roman emperor and you're like, look, we've got this big economy, but I want to see productivity gains, and you want to make it happen somehow, what is it exactly? Is there something you like from a top-down perspective you could have done? I mean, in Britain, the government subsidizes the royal arts and so forth, and
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, the Longitude Prize and so forth. But
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. This happens first in France and then Britain, but you get royal societies for science where you're doing really. I would say there's like three things that are essential there. One is like the promotion of what we would call basic or fundamental science. So it doesn't all have to be like immediately practical or commercialized, that you're like promoting deep knowledge of nature. Two, you're doing it in an empiricist way. And this is something very important in the 17th century that the Romans, by contrast, don't have, is you have like the spirit of Francis Bacon that we need to ground our knowledge in experiment and observation, not just believe whatever authorities or Aristotle said. And that's very much the spirit of places like the Royal Society is we don't take things on anybody's word, especially like Aristotle's. And so you need basic science, you need empiricism, like this rigorous and self-correcting. And then third, you need a sense of useful knowledge. And that's the other thing that really comes together in the 17th century is not just the basic and abstract science, but the application. And the 17th century language for that is useful knowledge. And that is something that doesn't ever get wired together in the Roman Empire. There are tinkerers and engineers, but they're not talking to the mathematicians and the physicists. And so if you were from on high to like design self-sustaining innovation, I think you would want to bring those elements into proximity. And Augustus, unfortunately for them, didn't do it. Probably good for the world. The Romans are pretty nasty people in a lot of ways. I definitely am of the opinion that sort of the high science matters, that like Isaac Newton is not a tinkerer, right? He's not building like pumps. But the guys who are like his friends. Right. And they're in and around the Royal Society. And they're absolutely – look at Denis Papin, who's a French engineer who's like very much in the circle of like Leibniz and the like very high abstract mathematics is trying to build like vacuum pumps. And the proximity of like high math, high science, very abstract with what is ultimately going to be the sectors that lead to mechanization, where then you can harness this new source of energy, or this not new source of energy, this sort of source of energy that is there all along but hasn't been tapped in coal. That's what catalyzes the big positive cycle of positive feedbacks. So what the Romans don't have is that. What the Romans do have is the kind of specialization. And like now that we look for it, it's there. Like when you look at food processing, which is a huge sector, the way that they build mills, like there's definitely improvements. But there's never like the catalytic change where you get runaway positive feedback.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can watch the full episode here and subscribe to see more clips.